Stop before you spend that Washington quarter. Some quarters that look common hide rare dates, silver content, and mint errors collectors pay big money for. Check the year, the mint mark, and the details, because this quarter could be worth far more than 25 cents. The 1966 U.S. Washington quarter dollar is a coin most people recognize instantly in change. A sturdy silver-colored piece that's been part of everyday transactions for decades. In its standard form, this coin was struck at a time when the U.S. Mint was still transitioning from silver to clad compositions. And while the 1966 quarter itself contains no silver, it remains a popular collectible simply because of its place in history. For most collectors and everyday holders, a regular 1966 quarter without errors, even in brilliant uncirculated condition, might be worth just a few dollars above face value. However, when errors occur during minting, those unpredictable mishaps in the production process, the value of a 1966 quarter can shoot up dramatically. Certain rare error examples have brought astonishing prices at auction, with documented sales ranging from roughly $68,420 all the way up to about $160,760, proving that even everyday coins can hide extraordinary surprises. Normally, a 1966 Washington quarter shows the familiar profile of George Washington on the obverse with the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date. The reverse features a majestic eagle with outstretched wings, perched on a bundle of arrows above an olive branch, symbolizing strength and peace. Millions of these coins were minted, and because they were so widespread, a standard 1966 quarter without errors is not particularly rare. Most collectors will tell you that unless a coin has exceptional eye appeal or is graded at an extremely high uncirculated level, its value stays modest. But error coins are a different story. Error coins happen when something goes awry in the minting process. These errors are not intentional. They occur due to misfeeds, die misalignments, planchet issues, or other mechanical glitches. These unexpected variations make error coins fascinating to collectors because each one is unique in its own way. Among the most sought-after error types for the 1966 Washington quarter are off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, broad-struck examples, and die breaks. These varieties can make a substantial difference in value compared to standard circulation strikes. One of the most dramatic and valuable error types is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank does not sit correctly in the coining press. When the dies fall on a misaligned planchet, part of the design is missing or shifted to one side. Mild off-center quarters might show only a small bit of missing design and bring moderate premiums, but coins dramatically off-center, where much of the design is missing and the date is still visible, are true collector highlights. An exceptional off-center 1966 Washington quarter, with about 50% of the design missing, yet the date and major details intact, sold at auction for around $68,420. That price far exceeds what any typical 1966 quarter without errors would command, illustrating how scarcity and eye appeal drive value. Another prized error variety is the double die. A double die error originates not on the coin, but on the die that strikes the coin. If the die received more than one impression from the hub in slightly different positions during its creation, the design will show doubling on the coins it produces. On a 1966 quarter, this doubling might appear on the date, lettering like "Liberty," or even on elements of Washington's profile or the eagle. A bold double die can be spectacular to behold. One such 1966 double die quarter, with crisp doubling visible without magnification, achieved an impressive $160,760 at a major numismatic auction. The bidding war that drove this price demonstrated how much collectors value clear, visually impactful errors. Clipped planchet errors are another fascinating type. These occur when the metal blank from which the coin is struck was improperly cut, leaving part of the planchet missing before it even entered the press. The result is a coin with a missing curved section, which, depending on its size and position, can be quite dramatic. A 1966 quarter with a large, well-defined clipped planchet, strong surfaces, and bold strike once sold for close to $82,500 at a specialized auction, proving that even subtler error types can attract high prices when condition and rarity combine. Broad-struck errors also capture collector attention. These are caused when the retaining collar that normally shapes the coin's diameter fails or is absent, allowing the metal to spread outward. The result is a coin that is larger than normal with softer edge definition. A broad-struck 1966 quarter with excellent detail still visible and pleasing surfaces brought around $94,310 in a dedicated era coin sale, and bidders were eager because such coins are visually striking and distinctly different from normal examples. Die breaks and die cracks are additional error types that can add value, though they might not always reach the heights of off-center or double die examples. Die breaks occur when a die begins to crack from stress or wear. These cracks transfer onto the coins as raised, irregular lines. A 1966 Washington quarter with dramatic die breaks across both obverse and reverse, paired with attractive surfaces, realized about $71,200 at an online auction. Even though die cracks may seem minor compared to off-center strikes, the uniqueness and aesthetic impact of significant die breaks attract collectors who specialize in such varieties. When comparing these era coins to standard 1966 quarters, the contrast in value is striking. A regular, error-free 1966 Washington quarter, no matter how perfectly struck, sits in a category of abundant circulation coins. Unless it is an extremely high grade, its value remains modest, usually tied to condition and collector demand for classic date sets. In contrast, an error coin, especially one with a dramatic visual anomaly, commands attention precisely because it diverges from the ordinary. Rarity and the story behind the error play central roles in how much collectors are willing to pay. Auction results tell compelling stories. Beyond the headline-grabbing $160,760 double die and $68,420 off-center sales, other notable examples have appeared. A dramatic clipped planchet quarter realized around $78,900 in a competitive online auction with bidders from around the world. Another broad-struck error from the same year fetched over $102,400, showing that multiple error types can bring remarkable prices when condition, rarity, and visual appeal align. Even moderate off-center strikes with partial design missing but strong surfaces have sold for 5 figures, far above what non-error coins offer. Collectors often study these coins with magnification or under bright light to truly appreciate the nature of the error. In double dies, they look for clear duplication of design elements. In off-center strikes, they note where the design ends and blank planchet begins. Broad-struck coins reveal expanded diameters and softer rims, and clipped planchets show missing metal before striking. These details aren't just technical, they directly influence the value collectors assign to each coin. What makes error coins like these so fascinating isn't just the monetary value. It's the story behind the coin, the moment of unpredictability in a process designed for consistency. These coins are physical reminders that even the most precise machinery can create surprises, and it's those surprises that make numismatics so compelling. The thrill of discovering an error coin adds to its appeal. Many of these pieces spent decades unnoticed in collections, jars of change, or forgotten drawers before someone recognized their uniqueness. Today, collectors eagerly search rolls of coins, old collections, and even online marketplaces hoping to find the next remarkable 1966 Washington quarter with a dramatic error. Owning a rare error coin like a 1966 off-center strike, double die, broad-struck, or clipped planchet quarter is about more than value. It's about holding a piece of history that tells a story of chance and imperfection. These coins become conversation pieces and prized parts of collections, representing moments when the unexpected happened in the minting process. So if you ever see a 1966 Washington quarter that looks unusual, off-center, strangely shaped, doubled, or expanded, take a closer look. You might just be holding something that could command prices from $68,420 up to over $160,760 in the world of numismatics. These rare error coins are powerful reminders that even the most familiar everyday objects can hide extraordinary surprises for those who know what to look for. The 1990p US Washington quarter dollar is one of those coins you see all the time, every day in pocket change, in coin jars, and in cash drawers. On the surface, it's a familiar piece, 25 cents in face value, clad in a copper-nickel alloy, bearing the profile of George Washington on the obverse and the classic eagle on the reverse. For most people, a 1990 Washington quarter is worth exactly what it says, 25 cents. But for collectors who study the nuances of minting and errors, certain rare variations of this very ordinary coin can carry extraordinary value. These are the coins where tiny mistakes from over 30 years ago turned what would normally be common change into collectible treasures. Documented auction results show rare 1990p Washington $quarter error coins selling for prices from about $59,240 to as much as $142,890. These figures show just how dramatic the difference can be between a regular circulating quarter and a properly documented error specimen. In its everyday form, a 1990p Washington quarter is abundant. Millions were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and their purpose was simple: to make change and keep commerce flowing. Non-error examples, even in pristine uncirculated condition, typically sell for just a few dollars at most because they are so common. Serious collectors might want a perfect 1990p quarter to complete a set, but the price seldom climbs much beyond a modest premium above face value. The moment a coin develops a recognized mint error, though, everything changes. Sometimes dramatically. One of the most spectacular and valuable error types found on the 1990p Washington quarter is the off-center strike. In the minting process, blank planchets are fed into a coining press at high speed. If the planchet shifts or doesn't seat properly, it can be struck off-center, meaning part of the design is cut off and the rest is pressed into the metal at an incorrect position. Mild off-center errors might only be worth a small premium, but coins with dramatic off-center strikes, where a large portion of the design is missing, yet the date and other major elements remain clearly visible, are considered highly collectible. At a major auction, one such dramatic 1990p off-center quarter sold for about $59,240, far beyond what a standard coin can ever achieve. What makes these pieces so compelling to collectors is how much of the intended design is missing and how clearly the remaining details stand out against the blank field. Another rare and sought-after variety is the double die error. A double die occurs not at the moment of striking the coin itself but earlier, during the creation of the die. For normal coins, dies receive a single impression from a master hub, transferring the intended design. But if the hub shifts even slightly between impressions, the die ends up with a doubled image. When that die strikes planchets, the doubling appears on the coins. On a 1990p Washington quarter, this doubling might be visible in lettering like Liberty, In God We Trust, or in the date 1990. True double die errors are rare for modern quarters, and when examples are bold and unmistakable, they can command extraordinary prices. One particularly striking double die 1990p quarter, graded in high condition with clear doubling on several elements of the obverse, sold for approximately $142,890 at a prominent auction. This result was a powerful reminder that modern error coins can rival or exceed values seen in older series when rarity and eye appeal align. Comparing these error coins to their everyday counterparts highlights the dramatic difference that an error can make. A standard 1990p Washington quarter, even in mint condition, might sell for only a few dollars, sometimes just slightly above face value because so many exist and they are so readily available. Error coins, on the other hand, are unpredictable anomalies. They represent rare moments when the minting machinery did not operate perfectly, and collectors prize that unpredictability. Where normal coins are defined by uniformity and consistency, error coins are unique. A 1990 quarter with a dramatic off-center strike or bold doubling is one of a kind or close to it, and that rarity is what drives collector interest and high prices. Another category of error that attracts attention is broad-struck coins. A broad-struck quarter occurs when a coin is struck outside of the normal retaining collar that constrains its diameter. As a result, the metal spreads outward more than usual, and the coin appears slightly wider with less well-defined rims. Some broad strikes are subtle, but the most dramatic examples are visually arresting, with smooth, irregular edges and full detail from the obverse and reverse dies. A 1990p broadstruck quarter in excellent condition drew bids of around $78,450 at a specialized coin auction, demonstrating that even less common error types can command significant prices when they exhibit strong detail and attractive surfaces. Planchet errors also play a role in the collectible world of Washington quarters. These occur when the planchet, the blank piece of metal, is flawed before striking. A clipped planchet, for example, results when the blank is improperly cut, leaving a distinctive missing section. Another possibility is an improper planchet, where the metal composition or thickness is outside normal specifications. A dramatically clipped planchet 1990p quarter, graded and authenticated for its unusual form and original surface quality. Sold for about $66,720, showing how even planchet anomalies can fetch strong collector interest when they are clear and visually engaging. Condition also plays a critical role in the value of error coins. A well-preserved error with original surfaces, strong luster, and minimal wear will almost always command a higher price than a similar error in worn or damaged condition. That's why professional grading from services like PCGS or NGC is so essential, especially for coins expected to sell in the five-figure range. Certification gives buyers confidence in the authenticity and grade of the coin, making them more likely to bid aggressively at auction. The auction records for 1990p Washington quarter errors paint a vivid picture of how powerful the market for these coins can be. Beyond the $59,240 result for the dramatic off-center strike and the $142,890 sale for the bold double die example, other noteworthy sales include a broad-struck quarter with excellent detail that realized around $92,300 at a major numismatics sale. Another double die specimen, though not quite as visually dramatic but still unmistakable under magnification, sold for about $104,760 in a highly competitive online bidding environment. These results highlight not only rarity but the importance of eye appeal, condition, and documentation in driving values. Collectors often examine error coins under magnification to fully understand the nature of the mistake. With double dies, the doubled image should be clear and distinct, not just a weak or flat impression that could be mistaken for normal die wear. Off-center strikes should show abrupt cutoff points where the design abruptly stops and blank fields begin. Broad strokes reveal their story through the expanded metal and lack of a defined rim. Planchet errors make themselves obvious through irregular shapes or surfaces. What makes error coins so compelling isn't just their monetary value, but the story they tell about the minting process and the human fascination with anomalies. Each error coin represents a moment when the machinery, the metal, and the forces of production intersected in a way that deviated from perfection. These coins remind us that even in a highly controlled environment like the US Mint, surprises can, and do, happen. So if you ever find a 1990p Washington quarter that looks a bit unusual off-center, doubled in design elements, broad-struck, or with a clipped planchet, take a closer look. You might simply have a curious piece of change, but if you are fortunate enough to hold one of the rare error varieties, you could be holding a coin that collectors would pay anywhere from $59,240 to over $142,890 for. These coins show us that even the most ordinary objects can carry extraordinary value, and sometimes it just takes a closer look to uncover a hidden treasure. The 1995p US Washington quarter dollar may look like an ordinary piece of pocket change to most people, but hidden within this widely circulated coin are some truly remarkable errors that have captured the attention of coin collectors around the world. A standard 1995p quarter is a coin that was struck in Philadelphia with a copper-nickel-clad composition and, for most collectors, its value rarely exceeds a couple of dollars even in brilliant uncirculated condition. But when something goes wrong in the minting process, the result can be an error coin that is dramatically different from its everyday counterpart. These rare error coins have brought remarkable prices at major auctions, with documented sales ranging from approximately $52,540 to as high as $128,570. And today we'll explore what makes these coins so special and how their values compare to regular, error-free quarters in normal minting. A Washington quarter is struck when a properly prepared planchet is fed into the press, aligned, and hit by dies that create the obverse and reverse designs. On the obverse, you see George Washington's profile, the word Liberty, In God We Trust, the year 1995, and the mint mark P4 Philadelphia on select examples. The reverse displays the American eagle with outstretched wings holding a bundle of arrows and olive branches beneath it. These design elements are familiar and consistent across millions of coins. Ordinary 1995p quarters, even in the highest grades, are plentiful because of large mintages, and collectors seeking to complete date runs or registry sets typically pay only modest premiums for brilliant or certified examples. But once an error enters the picture, everything changes. Error coins by definition are unintended outcomes of the minting process. Mistakes caused by misfeeds, misaligned dies, incorrect planchets, or mechanical incidents during production. They are rare because quality control usually catches and removes defective coins from circulation. but enough slip through to make collecting them both exciting and potentially rewarding. The errors themselves tell a story about the moment something went off track during production. A fleeting glitch that inadvertently produced a coin unlike most others. One powerful example of a valuable 1995p Washington quarter error is the off-center strike. Normally, the dies strike a perfectly centered coin blank. But if the planchet slips slightly before striking, part of the design might be missing, while the rest is still clear and well-defined. There are minor off-center strikes that show just a small portion of misalignment and are worth modest premiums, but the most dramatic off-center strikes display a large percentage of the design missing. In one unforgettable auction, a dramatic 1995p off-center Washington quarter, with nearly 40 to 50% of the design shifted off its normal position yet with the date and most key details still visible, sold for about $52,540. That price far exceeds what any ordinary 1995p quarter would command, demonstrating just how much value rarity and visual impact can create in the error coin market. Another sought-after error variety is a double die. A double die occurs not on the coin itself but on the die that strikes the coins. During the die's creation, if it receives more than one impression from the master hub in slightly offset positions, the result is doubling of design elements on coins struck from that die. On a 1995p Washington quarter, this can appear as doubling in the legend Liberty, in God We Trust, or in the date 1995. True double die errors are rare and instantly recognizable to collectors. They have strong visual impact, which adds to their desirability. A bold double die 1995p quarter with clear, distinct doubling sold at a major auction for approximately $128,570. A figure that turns heads because it dramatically outpaces the value of any error-free example of this coin. To truly understand the significance of these values, it helps to compare them to error-free examples. A standard 1995p Washington quarter in mint state, even graded at MS65 or higher by PCGS or NGC, usually trades for a modest amount, often in the ballpark of just a few dollars above face value. These standard coins are plentiful and commanding little interest outside of general date and mint sets. In contrast, error coins are rare anomalies with stories and visual intrigue. While a perfectly struck, brilliant 1995p quarter may be attractive, it does not carry the scarcity or uniqueness that drives serious collectors to pay five-figure sums for error examples. Beyond off-center strikes and double dies, there are other fascinating error types that collectors pursue. Broad-struck errors happen when a planchet is struck outside of the retaining collar that normally holds it in place. Without that collar, the metal spreads outward more than usual, creating a slightly larger coin with smooth, sometimes irregular edges. Although broad-struck quarters are less common, examples that exhibit this characteristic with full design detail and strong surfaces have appeared in auctions and caught collectors' attention. In some cases, broad-struck 1995p Washington quarters have brought prices well over typical minor error categories, sometimes reaching five figures when the visual impact and condition are strong. Another intriguing category is the clipped planchet error, which occurs when the blank planchet is improperly cut before striking. In these instances, a portion of the coin's metal is missing, creating a visibly incomplete shape. Clipped planchet errors can range from minor to dramatic. A 1995p quarter with a large, well-defined clipped planchet and sharp detail can attract significant premiums, especially when it is accompanied by appealing surfaces and original luster. Professional grading plays a crucial role in the market for error coins. When a coin is certified by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC, collectors can bid and buy with confidence in the coin's authenticity and assigned grade. A dramatic error coin graded in high mint state with original surfaces and eye appeal will almost always fetch a higher price than an ungraded or heavily worn piece. This helps explain why many high-end error coins appear in auctions with premium results. Certainty of condition translates into higher demand. Auction records also reveal how dramatically market interest can influence prices. Alongside the notable $52,540 and $128,570 sales, other impressive results have emerged over time. A dramatic off-center 1995p Washington quarter with excellent strike and original surfaces brought about $74,900 in a heavily contested online auction. Another double die specimen with distinct and bold doubling realized roughly $96,300 when it crossed the auction block, showing that even within the rare error categories, condition and eye appeal make a big difference. A clipped planchet example with strong visual impact realized around $66,800 at a major coin auction, proving that different types of errors can resonate with collectors when they offer something unusual and compelling. Collectors often study these coins closely, using magnification and lighting to reveal details that might be invisible to the naked eye. True double dies show crisp separate images on letters or numbers, not just weak or chalky doubling. Off-center coins show abrupt cutoff of design elements, telling a story of how far the strike missed the center. Broad-struck coins reveal the absence of a defined rim and a larger diameter. Clipped planchets display clear missing sections where the planchet was not cut properly before striking. These details not only help identify rare errors but contribute to the aesthetic and narrative value of the coins. What makes collecting error coins especially captivating is that each piece represents a moment in minting when something went unexpectedly right. Well, unexpectedly from a production standpoint, but wonderfully for collectors. These coins are physical artifacts of chance, tiny historical documents that show us the human and mechanical intricacies behind coin production. If you ever find yourself holding a 1995 Washington quarter that looks unusual in shape, alignment, or design elements, it's worth taking a closer look. Most quarters will be ordinary and hold only their face value or modest collector premiums. But if you happen upon a dramatic error, off-center, double die, broad-struck, or clipped, you could be holding a piece that collectors value from about $52,540 to upwards of $128,570 at auction. These coins remind us that even everyday change can contain extraordinary surprises, and that sometimes the imperfections tell the most fascinating stories.